Welcome back, everyone. Here we are with yet another 5 Minute Paranormal with T and I together. And we're actually taking a topic from our fellow paranormal investigator, Alex Matsuo.
She is known as the Spooky Stuff over on YouTube. So go on ahead and check out her channel. And yes, give her a subscribe and make sure to enable notifications for her, just like you would have for us here at Old Spirits Investigations.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was subtle. So Alex, in one of her recent episodes, Phil, she was talking about other investigators that were using different kinds of mediums to record on, not just the digital stuff like you would have with an H2 or an H4. Let's go ahead and let's roll that clip and take a look.
Now, if you really want to go old school, I actually know some pretty amazing investigators who still use cassette tapes. And honestly, I think that's a good idea too. Because the way that a cassette recorder will collect audio data is very different from how it's done digitally. And a lot of people prefer the cassette tape because digital recordings, it's measuring changes in the environment and interpreting that data as sound. So, which is why we tend to get a bit of technical glitches with our audio, and many will misinterpret it as something paranormal. You can actually get a really cheap cassette player. Now, I think where it does get a little tricky is then you have to convert your cassette audio into digital audio, and I sometimes wonder if something gets lost there in translation.
So let's talk about analog recording versus digital recording.
Okay, so first just let me say, I totally get the allure of recording to tape.
Well, you did that at Gettysburg.
I did
right?
that on our first trip to the orphanage in Gettysburg.
Yeah, but one of the things that I remember being a kid from the 80s and making a lot of mixes with my cassettes is the limitations, as also some of the hazards of recording that. Like, for example, you could be right on the cusp of hearing something on that tape, and then you pull it out, and then you've got audio spaghetti.
Absolutely, there is that.
So that's one thing. The second problem I would have that I would also propose to people who are saying, well, you get deeper sound. It's a different texture. It's a different this. Well, yeah, but you only have 60 minutes, maybe 90 minutes.
Well, yeah, I'd say the 90-minute Maxell, 45 on each side.
I'll go you one better. Do you remember the 120 Maxell?
Which was like toilet paper.
Yes! But that's my point. If you really wanted to risk it, you could get 2 hours on one cassette, or on one of these memory cards inside of an H4, you're getting 32, 46 hours.
Absolutely. And those are all 100% valid points. But again,
on
the other side of it,
there
there is just the whole element of experimentation and seeing if capturing through a different medium yields different results. And in terms of what you're getting, what you're bringing back with you, you're not just bringing back the sounds of the environment, right? You're not just bringing back any EVPs that you've captured. You will always get some kind of hum from the motor on the tape recorder.
That's another
There's
disadvantage.
always going to be some kind of hiss. That's just part of what you get when you record onto a cassette. Especially with the lower end, the more commonly available cassette recorders, micro cassette recorders. I mean, you go out there with a real nice, sweet, reel-to-reel recorder like Hans Holzer used back in the 70s,
Back in the day.
the 60s.
Yeah.
Then maybe there's going to be something there.
So let's address the Panasonic-sized elephant in the room, and let's talk about the difficulty, though, of getting that analog audio over to digital. What happens then?
Well, of course. So
You might notice I've been leaning hard on Phil about this, and that's because while I have a lot of experience as an audio guy with podcasting, Phil is a professional musician. He's doing the shows. He takes care of the audio post-production with Old Spirits. So this is Phil's wheelhouse.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
talk about
I'm gonna
that
break
jump,
it down
please.
as simply as possible. When you are taking the analog audio signal that's coming off that cassette, it's traveling down the wire that you have plugged into your computer. That analog signal is being digitized. It's being turned into zeros and ones. And depending on your audio equipment, your sound card in your computer, or your interface, it's not a perfect process.
The way I would describe it to somebody is, it's like when you take a JPEG and then you alter it in some way and then you JPEG it again with Photoshop or whatever image editor you use.
That's perfect.
Whereas when you're And you have to digitize it because this is the kind of
You have to.
This is the kind of environment we're in.
Yeah.
We are in an environment where we're working with Audition, we're working with Cool Edit, we're working with GarageBand, as my wife would pronounce it.
Audacity. Reaper.
Exactly.
Pro Tools.
All of these DAWs, they basically work with digital audio. So when you're going from, say, an Eva Star to your computer, there's nothing lost. It's digital.
It's one-to-one.
Yeah, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. But the jump from analog to digital is going to affect the quality.
There's a change, yeah, because you're converting.
Now the big question.
There's a conversion happening.
Could that lead to false results?
It depends what you're looking for, but I really don't think any kind of artifact from that conversion process could be mistaken for a voice, but it depends on how big of a leap that you're trying to take with the audio that you're interpreting. Do I think that artifacts could obscure what you're listening to? 100%.
And this is why I would say if you're going to record on cassette, but have an Eva Star running or have an H2 running. This is why we have multiple devices.
Because then...
Right. And that's the thing. In Crescent, we had multiple devices going. Yeah. So, like, there was this one moan that you heard. You actually heard it, and I heard it not only in your recording, but I also heard it on your videos track, and then on my H4, I heard it again.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of verification. Yeah. So if you pick it up on analog and then you pick it up on digital, then fine, go for it. You know, have the multiple devices going.
But the caveat is you're going to have motor noise to contend with. You're going to have tape hiss to contend with. You're going to have conversion artifacts to contend with.
Again, we want to thank you, Alex, for that question. I know you didn't direct it to us, but that's okay because we appreciate the topic. I mean, we're audio nerds first and foremost, and then paranormal nerds later. But thank you very much for the topic. And we want to ask you, what do you record on? Do you record on an Eva Star? Do you record digital only, or do you record with multiple devices, or do you do as Phil does here and experiment analog? We'd love to hear your comments. And speaking of which, make sure to not only leave a comment, because yes, we will respond, but like and subscribe and enable notifications for whenever we put up new content. Again, thank you so much for watching this 5 Minute Paranormal.
And we'll see you in the field.